Hmm. Oh, I'm not seeing. Hey, would you give me the feed? I've got like a little camera thing going on. There we go. There's the countdown. Isn't it amazing how the left picks the least popular people ever to be their martyrs? Jimmy Kimmel. That's so stupid. Everybody, welcome to Vince on a Friday. It's great to have you with us. We've got a huge show ahead. We'll get all the reaction to Jimmy Kimmel's ridiculous saga. The left has turned him into some sort of martyr. Meanwhile, the right has an actual martyr in Charlie Kirk, who was just killed last week by a deranged left-wing lunatic. And none of these media people, none of them summoned half the outrage that they're currently serving you on Jimmy Kimmel. Are you serious right now? Yeah, that's the way they are. Also, and very importantly, we've been talking about all these missing children that the left imported into the United States, and then they just let go. We're finding them. Thank God. More ahead on the program. Justin, your mic's open. I can hear every word you're saying. Yeah, thanks, brother. Okay, let's get started on the program today. I want to thank our great sponsors. ExpressVPN makes it all possible. Everything you do online is recorded, and it's sold to the big tech companies, advertisers, even our government. Who's doing this? Data brokers. Vultures that make billions of dollars selling your private data. Remember, without privacy, there's no freedom. So take back control over your digital privacy with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is a virtual private network that reroutes 100% of my internet activity through encrypted and secure servers, so nobody gets to see what you do online because it's none of their business. ExpressVPN also hides my IP address, which is the number that identifies you on the internet. So no matter what you do, you've got to use the internet. And with ExpressVPN, you can take full control of how you go online. It works on all of your devices and on up to 8 devices at once, which is more than enough to protect everybody in your home. It only takes one tap to connect, so even your kids can figure it out. And right now, you can get an extra 4 months for free when you use my special link, which is expressvpn.com/Vince. Very simple, expressvpn.com/Vince, and you will get 4 extra months of ExpressVPN. Yeah. Hey, so we're finding the children, thank God. There are a lot of missing children that the Trump administration reported on as soon as they arrived in office. Remember RFK Jr., the head of the Department of Health and Homeland, what is it again? Health and Homeland Services, right? HHS. Health and Human Services. My God. Blackout coffee. Hold up. Okay, we're good now. RFK arrived and said, we're missing a lot of kids. And the reason for that is because the Biden administration rampantly imported these children into the country, and they ended up in some of the worst possible conditions. We're talking sex trafficking, slavery, just disgraceful abuse of these young, innocent children. And so one of the missions that the border czar, Tom Homan, has undertaken at the orders of the President of the United States is to find these kids, to rescue them from this madness. And they're doing that, and they're doing it by the tens of thousands. Tom Homan this week reports that they've located just about 25,000 of these children. Listen to the border czar describing the horrific conditions in which these kids have been found.
When President Trump called me to come back from retirement, he told me they wanted me to do 3 things: secure the border, run the largest deportation operation this country's seen, and third, find over 300,000 missing children. And that was priority.
Yeah, he wanted them to find the kids. The president wanted Tom Homan to find these kids, and he did. These kids were living under horrific conditions. Many were in sex trafficking. They're in forced labor. They're in slavery. And Tom Homan saying, we're not giving up on this at all. This is the main priority for the Trump administration. We are keeping at it. And for that, I want to offer just our gratitude to Tom Homan and this team. This is why I was so glad that President Trump tapped Tom Homan to begin with. And that is, I got to say, a very valuable update for, I think, an audience that is very concerned about the well-being of these kids. The left likes to construe the right as being, unconcerned about illegal aliens and that you hate people because they're here illegally. And yeah, a lot of these kids are here illegally, but it's not the fault of the children that they were imported into the United States in this capacity. They need to be rescued from this madness. They're human beings with souls, and they're being hurt in the most awful ways. God bless the Trump administration for continuing this mission. Now, that's a small fraction of the number of kids, though. 25,000, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of children, by some estimates, who've been imported under these circumstances, completely lost into the United States. We've got to find them all. So the mission continues to be colossal, but the people who are attuned to this are the best in the country. So God bless Tom Homan. Thank you guys for digging into this. I figured I'd start today with some good news in light of all of the madness and sadness we've had to deal with these last few weeks. Some good news that the Trump administration continues to keep this as one of their number one priorities. So thanks to Tom Homan for that. The immigration mission does continue, though. There's a lot to deal with. I've got some updates on numbers for you. Over 400,000 illegal aliens have been arrested now under the Trump administration, taken into custody for deportation. And these are the numbers that were just given to the Daily Caller, my White House correspondent, Reagan Reese, by the Trump administration. Since the start of the administration, the Department of Homeland Security has arrested more than 417,000 illegal aliens. And you're probably having a similar thought to me, which is like, well, Vince, we've got millions upon millions of people who are here illegally. That's true. So the mission continues, but given the resources that these guys have had and their unquestionable full-scale effort to get people out of the country, this is what they've been able to do so far. 417,000 illegal aliens taken into custody. ICE alone, just that agency, has arrested more than 210,000. 70% of the people that they've taken into custody are what they refer to as criminal illegal aliens. Now, for those of you who are aware of how English works, 100% of the people who are being arrested committed a crime, which is illegal entry or illegal re-entry into the country. But when they say criminal illegal aliens, you're talking about violent criminals. You're talking about people who've committed additional horrific crimes. 70% of the people who've been taken into custody here are considered that category, criminal illegal aliens, with pending charges or convictions. As of yesterday, Thursday, ICE arrested illegal aliens that were convicted of aggravated sexual assault, attempted murder, and other gruesome crimes. So we've got murderers, rapists, animal abusers, as DHS Secretary, Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin says. She's great. She says these are dirt bags that ICE is arresting and removing from American communities. She says, additionally, we should be thanking law enforcement for risking their lives to arrest these criminals. Instead, sanctuary politicians and activists continue to demonize ICE law enforcement, comparing them to slave patrols. That's what Jasmine Crockett did this week. The Gestapo and the secret police. That's what Democrats all over the place have been doing. This dangerous rhetoric is contributing to ICE officers facing a more than 1,000% increase in assaults against them as they carry out their enforcement operations, our enforcement operations here in the United States. So let me take this opportunity to once again thank law enforcement, thank ICE officials, thank federal law enforcement, and thank law enforcement broadly for the tough job of doing the dangerous work of what it means to enforce the law in our country. And that brings me to one important diversion as well today. I say diversion, but this is an important thing for me to hit. This week, 3 police officers in Pennsylvania were killed responding to a domestic violence call. And this story is just so awful. I got it up on my X account today if you want to share this. These 3 Pennsylvania police officers, these are detectives, they were responding to a call in York, Pennsylvania this week, where an armed psychopath had shown up outside of his ex-girlfriend's home. She lived there with, she does live there with her mother. And he was outside with binoculars and a gun. And the women inside the house had noticed this. So they call the police and they say, hey, this guy's out there. So the cops show up. They search the woods for the guy. And they don't find him that night. The women get out of the house. They get away from the home. The next day, the cops go back to check the site. They fly a drone above the house. And what they discover as they're surveilling the property is that one of the doors, which had previously been locked by the women, was now unlocked, had been opened. And so the detectives go up to the house, these men, they knock on the door, and they open it to go into the home, again, with the permission of the women to go into the house to search it. And that's when this psychopath, armed, opens fire, kills 3 officers, injures 2 others. And these are just good men doing good work, trying to protect a scared woman from a home invader, some psycho ex-boyfriend who gunned these men down. And so I'm just asking you today, as I talk about law enforcement, to lift up a prayer for these men, a prayer of gratitude for the kind of men who do this work, and women out there who do this work. And once again, just say we need to thank law enforcement every day for doing these tough jobs, often thankless jobs. Scared women who were looking for help, and it was true men who responded. And these 3, they lost their lives doing it. So I'm praying for them today, and I'm praying for that community in Pennsylvania. But this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. And it would do well for the rest of us to demonstrate our appreciation for the people who protect our communities. God bless those men. Now, on this issue of immigration enforcement, the madness continues because the left keeps abetting the madness. We have in New York, at a New York ICE detention facility yesterday, federal officers had to arrest 11 Democrat officials. These are elected officials for acting like full-blown lunatics and sitting inside of this ICE detention space. And the cops, just to be clear, law enforcement just keeps asking these guys politely, hey, would you get out of the way? Would you please leave? You're trespassing. You're causing all sorts of trouble. Can you stop doing that? And then at some point, they have to stop asking nicely, and they just have to start taking people into custody. And that's what happened yesterday, as these Democrats cartoonishly were blocking the efforts at this ICE detention space. And so they get busted. And here's what that looked like yesterday.
Make a hole. Make a hole. You impede, you'll be under arrest. Back up.
They're screeching.
Because ICE should be out of New York.
They're sitting around Indian style, like children. They're singing stupid songs like children.
Aquí estamos y no nos vamos y si nos echan nos regresamos.
They're chanting like children.
We are the people. A little bit louder. Back up. We are the people. A little bit louder. We want justice for our people.
You hear that last thing, that song they're singing it a little bit louder, a little bit louder. You know, that song is literally a song that children sing. My daughter's swim team sings that song. It's like a hype song for the kids. These are emotionally incontinent children who are representing the people of New York, and now they're doing it with handcuffs on. So rightfully arrested and taken into custody. It's also stupid. But this is the left's position. The left, it really is one of the dominant themes that you can detect everywhere. Conservatives value beauty. Conservatives value order. Conservatives value peace. Conservatives value law enforcement. The left, well, you can judge them based on the things that they support. You can know them by their fruits, can't you? They value crime. They value disorder. They value chaos. They don't value law enforcement. They root against the cops. And then when these guys are merely trying to enforce the laws that actual elected officials like those people passed, who's there to blockade them? Oh, elected officials, Democrats. We are not the same. We are not the same. And so if you are going to break the law in the service of supporting law breaking, well, then you'll be subjected to law enforcement, which is what happened yesterday. After a lot of, by the way, the cops were really nice. Federal law enforcement was pleasant with those guys. Like, hey, look, you got to move or else we're going to have to arrest you. They didn't move. Instead, they sang their stupid campfire songs and then they got arrested. So that's how that works. Fuck around, find out. I think that's the way it goes. FAFO. And that happened. That happened yesterday in New York. It's also happening in Chicago. So the president of the United States is currently undertaking an effort to deport a lot of people from Chicago. And that brings me to this video footage that comes to us from Ali Bradley, great reporter, by the way, over at News Nation. This morning, outside of a Chicago detention facility, you had a bunch of lefty protesters trying to stop ICE from being able to do its job, trying to stop vehicles from being able to go in and out of this ICE detention space. I believe this is the Broadview ICE Detention Center. Take a look at this video footage this morning as these guys get their asses dragged away from the front of the gates.
ICE! How do you spell racist? ICE! How do you spell fascist? ICE!
And look, they're being nice too. The cops are like, "Look, you've got to go." All the ICE agents are coming out, federal officers, and they're gesturing like, "Hey, it's time to go. You've got to get up. And if you don't get up, then we're going to have to pick you up by the armpits and we're going to have to toss you." So, well, then, sure enough, a bunch of armpit grabbing and tossing starts.
How do you spell fascist? ICE! How do you spell racist? You're on video! Shame on you!
Love the guy with the umbrella, by the way. There's a dude with an umbrella. You see this? What's the umbrella for? It's not raining. Nobody else has an umbrella. Why do you have an umbrella? And it got me thinking. I see this video and I think, well, that's an Antifa thing. That's an Antifa thing. The umbrella wielders is sort of an Antifa thing. So, and now that we're designating Antifa as an official terrorist organization, maybe take that guy into custody, Mr. Umbrella. Let's go. Yeah. So here they are now. The ICE officers rightly dragging these people away from the front. And then you'll see here in a moment, one of the ICE officers, as they're trying to get rid of these people, he drops a tear gas canister by accident. It just slips out of his utility belt here. And one of the protesters, blockaders, troublemakers grabs the canister, and well, that was a stupid idea. That's how you get arrested.
We know
There it is. He throws the canister. Boom! Tackled. I love it. In custody. That's how you get in custody. If you're looking for a cheat code. Yeah, and so they arrested him. Thanks to Ali Bradley at News Nation for that video. So they got these guys under arrest. And this just keeps going on. All of this chaos continues, and they're trying to induce it even more in Chicago. And I've been reading some of the local press in Chicago, trying to get my arms around it. What are they reporting on about all of this? And I have to say, and this won't surprise you, I can't tell you how many local Chicago stories I've read where they are, the local media, the local left-wing media is acting like it is some big atrocity that federal law enforcement is doing this work. Oh, we can't believe. Oh, and they have people in Chicago. Chad, anybody in Chicago? Are you witnessing any of this? They say they've got like rapid response teams, not the feds, not law enforcement. People who are trying to assist illegal aliens from being taken into custody. In other words, who are obstructing justice. They have these rapid response teams in Chicago of lefties who are rushing to locations where they think immigration enforcement is happening, and they're blowing literal whistles to try and warn illegal aliens that law enforcement is coming. They're coming. Woo, woo. So they're like some sort of, it's so demented. It's like demonic Paul Revere is the whole thing. It's like the law enforcement is coming. Justice is coming. Woo, woo. This is what's happening in Chicago. Are you witnessing this at all in Chicago? And so they're making the job of law enforcement even more difficult. And by the way, more dangerous. If the message becomes like, hey, all of a sudden we're gonna flag the presence of law enforcement in a very violent city, you're subjecting those men and women who are waking up each day in order to enforce the law to even more threats than they already face. I just told you the statistic on this. ICE officers are facing a 1,000% increase in assaults right now because of this kind of insane behavior from the left, which continues. And, it's totally typical. But in case you're wondering, is the Trump administration staying on this mission? Oh, yes, they are. Are they deporting hundreds of thousands of people? Oh, yes, they are. Have millions of people self-deported? Oh, yes, they have. And are we rescuing children? You're damn right we are. Over 25,000 missing children have been recovered from slavery and sex trafficking. The president continues the mission we elected him on, and the left continues to try and thwart it, even in the most comical, stupid ways. All right, more ahead on the program. We've got to get to the left and their bizarro reaction to Jimmy Kimmel being suspended. The whole thing is so stupid. If they could summon up 10% of the outrage for Charlie Kirk's assassination, we would change this country for the better. But they can't. They barely care about that. And they're very exercised about the fact that some overpaid, unfunny moron just was suspended for legitimate reasons. More ahead on this edition of Vince. Great to have you with us. The best audience anywhere, truly. If there's something that all of us can believe in, it's hard work, self-reliance, and showing up for the people who count on us. But you see, a while back, I was hitting a wall because I wasn't sleeping well. I was getting terrible sleep, and then I would drag myself through the next day on fumes. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Not for your health, not for your work, for nothing. And so I knew I had to find something to break me out of that cycle. And that's when I found Beam's Dream Powder. Now, Beam it's incredible. It's also delicious, too. It's proudly founded in America, and it's run by people who share our values: hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a great nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on each new day. Dream is made up of a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. And here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off. You can try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/VinceShow. Use the code VinceShow at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/VinceShow. Yes, indeed. And use the code VinceShow, and you'll get up to 40% off. Thank you to Beam for being a great sponsor of the program. I want to, real quick, if I can indulge you in some news about the program that you're listening to right now. We got a good report yesterday. I'm just scrolling to it on my own X feed. We got a great report yesterday. Here it is from Barrett Media. Take a look at this. This program, thanks to your viewership, is doing great. Barrett Media reports that we are now ranked 11 in the whole country. That this program has continued its climb over the month of August in what they call the Triton Digital Podcast ratings. And they lead with that in the headline. Vince Colonnese continues climb in August Triton Digital Podcast rankings. Triton Digital releasing these rankings for the month of August. This show has risen another 2 positions during the month. And they say that this show has climbed, again, 2 positions, now 11th in the ranker. The show grew past the NPR Politics podcast and the Global News podcast from the BBC. Also, the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show finished at 14th, a couple points back from us. And Consider This from NPR was 15th. The Bulwark podcast was at 16th. And so for what it's worth, I just want to extend my immense gratitude to you guys for making this show what it is now. It has been, honestly, it's just been one of the best experiences of my life being with you since we got this whole thing started in March of this year. It's been a total blast, and I want to offer my gratitude not just to you, but to the team that makes this possible: Guy, Justin, Andy, Paula Bongino, Dan Bongino for entrusting me in the first place. It's been a blast. So thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. I figured we could celebrate together. I was seeing that yesterday. I'm like, well, I got to tell the audience about this. That's wonderful news. So let's keep that going. People who don't have an audience include Jimmy Kimmel. That's been true for a while now, by the way. Kimmel, I don't even know. Don't you love the left, the way that they rally to unpopular causes? They're like, yeah, men who could become women, that's our thing. Jimmy Kimmel, that's our thing. Nobody even watches Jimmy Kimmel. Everybody's been alienated by that idiot. Or USAID, like they're showing up outside of USAID as if the rest of us are going to get animated to defend a slush fund for the left. No, we don't think you should have any money. This is so stupid. Pick something popular for once. What's with all these stupid unpopular causes that you're trying to use? I saw Cory Booker trying to fundraise off of Jimmy Kimmel yesterday. Yeah, I got an email from Cory Booker's fundraising apparatus that for some reason they think I'm going to give him money. And in it was like, defend Jimmy Kimmel and give us money. First of all, I don't know how giving you money would defend Jimmy Kimmel. And also, can't you pick something more popular? So, like, what? What is this? Kimmel. So, speaking of Kimmel, let's get into some of the realities of what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. The left has made a big deal. They're like, oh, it was Brendan Carr. It was the FCC guy, the FCC commissioner, the chairman of the FCC, who drove Jimmy Kimmel off the air. Real threat to the First Amendment. And then you start seeing the news coverage on this. Turns out that's bullshit. It wasn't Brendan Carr. Now, Brendan Carr did have some words to say about Jimmy Kimmel. And no doubt that drew a lot of attention to the venom that Jimmy Kimmel was spewing earlier this week. No question whatsoever. But the Wall Street Journal and a couple of other outlets, they've got reports up now on what exactly went down at Disney that led to Kimmel being booted from the air this week. And I'll scroll right down to the most important takeaway of this story. Kimmel was planning on, according to the Wall Street Journal, addressing Brendan Carr's comments on his show Wednesday night. That would be 2 nights ago, according to people familiar with the matter. Before his on-air appearance, he was contacted by one of the top executives at Disney, a guy called Dana Walden. In fact, I don't know if Dana's a woman or a male, but either way, Dana Waldman, chairman of Disney Entertainment, spoke to Kimmel about his plan, the people said. And then after the conversation between Kimmel and Walden, I'm sorry, it is a chick. It says she. Why'd you call it a chairman? It's a chairwoman. What's wrong with you, Wall Street Journal? It's a chairwoman. After the conversation between Kimmel and Walden, she and other senior executives thought that the Star's approach, the Star's approach could make the situation worse. People familiar with their conversations said, oh, so this wasn't about the FCC. This was about Kimmel being an idiot and Disney and this Dana executive saying, whoa, wait a second. Executives discussed staff safety, including threatening emails that staff on Kimmel's show had received after Carr's remarks. Yeah, they're the victims now. And the posting of some of their personal information online, the people said. Walden huddled with her team and Disney chief executive Bob Iger before the two executives decided to temporarily take Jimmy Kimmel live off the air, the people said. She then informed Kimmel of the decision. Okay, so again, the most important feature here is not the gender of the executive or anything else. It's that she spoke to Jimmy, and when she realized that things were not going to be improved by Jimmy's commentary that night, they said, nope, you're not going on the air. That's not going to happen. Additionally, CNN has a report that gives us even more color about this. according to one of the individuals familiar with the situation, Kimmel was prepared to deliver his monologue Wednesday night and planned to address the right-wing backlash to his remarks made earlier in the week regarding the politicization of Kirk's killing. I want to remind you of what he actually said. He said that MAGA people spent the weekend trying to pretend like this guy was anyone but one of their own, meaning Tyler Robinson, the assassin. The vile commentary from Jimmy Kimmel was to suggest that the killer was a right-winger, that this was somehow your fault. This was a conservative problem, a MAGA problem. How vile. So, of course, people were outraged about that. So, according to one of the individuals familiar with this, he planned on addressing this Wednesday night. This individual described Kimmel's planned monologue as, quote, very hot, comma, taking aim at the MAGA base. Oh, taking aim, huh? At the MAGA base. Are you listening to any of this? Like, oh, so Jimmy Kimmel was going to take aim at MAGA the week after Charlie Kirk was assassinated in cold blood in Utah. The big thing is Jimmy Kimmel is upset that people are mad at him for being a jackass, and that he was going to spend Wednesday night attacking you for noticing. He was going to take aim at you, in the words of CNN. Do these people even think before they choose the words they use to describe any of this? Charlie Kirk was shot. Oh, they're going to take aim at MAGA. Got it. So the reason Kimmel was booted off the air is not because Brendan Carr was trampling on the First Amendment. The reason he was taken off the air was because Disney recognized that their entire business was going through an epic collapse. You had affiliates across the country from Nexstar and Sinclair, 60 different ABC affiliates saying, we're not airing Jimmy Kimmel anymore. This is insane. We can't air this kind of garbage on our networks. And then when Kimmel was contacted by an ABC executive, hey, what are you going to do here? He's like, oh, I'm going to attack MAGA. I'm going to go on television and I'm going to double down and I'm going to give a hot attack on MAGA. Okay, yeah, no, you're not doing that. We're taking you off the air. So Disney, for the first time in a long time, made the right decision. Now, they didn't go the distance. They haven't officially fired the guy. The claim is that they've temporarily suspended him, so we'll see what happens if he actually comes back from all of this. But in the meantime, yeah, rightfully so, they yanked this dude from the air. So the next time you hear somebody like, oh, Brendan Carr's trampling on the First Amendment, Trump's trampling on the First Amendment. No, Jimmy Kimmel promised that he was going to double down on his lies and attack MAGA. And then Disney said, that might not be good for business. So they pulled him off the air. That's what actually happened. Somebody tell the left. They're going crazy right now. Crazy. More in a moment. Before we get there, I want to thank the great sponsors of this program. Jacked Up Fitness. Love them. Love them. More and more Americans are prioritizing their wellness, getting back in shape. Studies prove that strength training does so much more to help burn fat than cardio alone. I've been working with Don and his team over at Jacked Up Fitness for a couple of months now. Let me tell you, these guys really do know what they're doing. They've got those all-in-one home gyms. They're best in class. Trust me, I've got one, and it's changed my life. I love this thing. And now their all-new X Series takes home fitness to the next level. The Power Rack Extreme Functional Trainer, well, it lets you do hundreds of exercises. Everything you would do at the gym. You can do it right from your spare room or your garage. I do it right here in my basement. I've got the machine, and my wife, my child, I love this thing. We're using it all the time. You will too. You know, the Power Rack Pro X is an amazing machine. It features a fully upgraded cable crossover system with articulating pulley arms for unlimited width combos. So you can hit every single muscle group. And if you're new here to this kind of thing, don't worry at all. They've got a free Get Jacked Up video program where you press play and then you follow along. No more excuses then. Let's do this together. Go to getjackedup.com, use the promo code Vince, and you'll save 10%. That's getjackedup.com. Get jacked up, baby. Yeah. Also, when it comes to managing your weight, so we go from muscles to fat. When it comes to managing your weight, There's a thing people do that makes them more unhealthy. It's called weight cycling. Doctors call it weight cycling. Half of Americans do this. It's pretty straightforward. It's you lose like 10 pounds and then you gain it back and then you lose it again. You gain it back, you lose it, you gain it. When you do that over and over, it actually creates some health problems. It creates a risk of diabetes, liver damage, heart attack, stroke. The bottom line is this. Most people actually need help stopping that cycle, weight cycling. And here's a great way to do that. Non-prescription Lean by Brickhouse Nutrition. Created by doctors, Lean is an oral supplement, not a GLP-1 injectable. Its studied ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, helps you control appetite and cravings, helps you burn fat by converting that fat into energy. And if you're tired of losing weight and then gaining it back, add Lean by Brickhouse Nutrition to your diet and your exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter Vince at takelean.com. That's code Vince at takelean.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and it's not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Thank you to Brickhouse Nutrition and their great product, Lean. Thank you for sponsoring this program. It means the world to us. We've got some things to get to. I've got the left is really truly losing its mind over Jimmy Kimmel being suspended, a show that nobody was watching to begin with. Here's just one example. Here's flatulent Eric Swalwell. He was wearing his Jimmy Kimmel merchandise on national TV. This is the kind of thing I think they give you for going to the television show. I don't think you could sell this hat. I'm not sure Goodwill would accept it. Here is cut 6, Eric Swalwell yesterday.
Congressman, I see you are wearing a hat. What does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He, every night, has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans, just as Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him. That is not who we are, and every American should care and stand up to this.
Unreal. That's an unreal appearance by Eric Swalwell. He was all gassed up, wasn't he? And so there he is wearing his wild hat on television, the Jimmy Kimmel hat. And then you get the former vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz, who he is furious over this. He's all hot and bothered. He's waving his hands around. He's mad that Jimmy Kimmel, who nobody watched, is now not going to be on television anymore. Here's cut 3, Tim Walz.
This is it. If you ever wondered how democracy dies, you're witnessing it. And I know people are watching a football game tonight and we're kind of sleepwalk through this thing, but
don't remind them. We got him here.
One of the most
Governor.
outrageous affronts. Yeah, well, right. It's one of the most outrageous affronts on this. This is North Korea style stuff. And it's being done because this is a weak, thin-skinned man who's failing as a president. All of the things he promised are not happening. And this is exactly what dictators do. It's our most cherished freedom to point out very clearly this is a terrible president and a terrible human being
enough.
Doing nothing to improve the lives.
Just make it go away. I don't want to hear it anymore. He's so crazy. This is North Korea. He says this is fascism. Say people who either don't understand fascism or who are very happy to project that sin onto their political opponents or some combination of both. I mean, just think about the insanity of all of this. Like, who is it who's responsible for clamping down on speech in America? That's the left. Who is it who shut down your ability to communicate on social media companies? That's the left. Who shut down Parler entirely? That's the left. What administration did all of that? Well, that would be the Biden administration, President Autopen. They stopped RFK Jr. from communicating with you. They were shutting down Tucker Carlson videos about how masks don't work, how the COVID jab wasn't stopping the transmission of COVID. It's insanity. These people are nuts. And have you encountered any of this, either on social media or in anywhere else in your life, where people say, well, you got to be careful here, you know? Because if Jimmy Kimmel gets suspended, then, what if the left starts clamping down on free speech? Like, you just wake up from a coma? Are you serious right now? What if the left clamps down on free speech? That's all the left does. The left has been doing it for years with tyrannical, ruthless efficiency. Are you a psychopath right now? So I'm loving the screeching here. I love it. I don't know about you. Chad, we love this. We love this screeching. It's insane what you're hearing. So don't fall for any of that crap. Don't fall for any of the moral blackmail. It's very straightforward. If you say insane things on television and it hurts your business interests when you do it, and then your company decides to suspend you or fire you as a result of that, that's what we on the right like to refer to as consequence culture, right? No, not cancel culture, consequence culture. Yeah, there are consequences for your stupidity. And you're undergoing them right now, way after you should have been. You should have been years ago. Now, I showed Tim Walz to you. Remember, Kamala tapped Tim Walz, of course, to be her running mate, which hilarious, and one of her many bad decisions. But we just got an update on why it is she chose Tim Walz and not other people. You remember that she passed over the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro, because he was Jewish. That's right. She passed over the guy because he was Jewish. She had become convinced that the country was too anti-Semitic to support that ticket. So she decided, no, I'm not going with him. Americans are anti-Semites. So she decided to go with the dude who waves with two hands, Tim Walz. Elmer Fudd. The guy doesn't even know how to fire a shotgun. And we got an update now. It wasn't just Josh Shapiro that she passed over. She also passed over Pete Buttigieg. Check out this from the New York Post. Kamala Harris reveals her first choice for running mate wasn't Tim Walz. This is in her new book. Kamala Harris settled on Tim Walz. She settled for Tim Walz to be her running mate last year because she felt Americans were too racist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic to accept her preferred option. Pete Buttigieg. In an excerpt from the former vice president's forthcoming book, 107 Days, obtained by The Atlantic, Harris describes Buttigieg as her first choice, but later deemed the openly gay former transportation secretary too big of a risk for the ticket. Buttigieg would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight white man, said Kamala Harris. I love this. But we already are asking a lot of America, she said, to accept a woman, a black woman, she capitalizes B for black, like an idiot, a black woman married to a Jewish man, she continued. Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what was at stake, it was too big of a risk. And I think Pete also knew that, to our mutual sadness. Now, are you listening to what she's saying about you? The whole point of this is that you suck. That's the assessment that she's making, or that her ghostwriter is making here. You suck. You're a racist, you're a sexist, you're an anti-Semite, and you're a homophobe. You're an awful human being. So I can't choose Pete Buttigieg because his gayness would be just an additional problem because I'm a black woman and America hates me for that. This is the kind of idiotic assessment that Kamala Harris was making. This is the kind of idiotic assessment the left constantly makes. And let me just point out something that's really hilarious about this. Are you saying, Kamala, please, come closer. Come here. Come here. Are you really telling me that you thought Pete Buttigieg was too gay to be your running mate? So you went with Tim Walz? You've got to be kidding me. I can't. I don't even know what. Really? Boy, it's a good thing we did not make her president of the United States. I mean, because let's be honest. I mean, if you're just judging people based on appearances and behaviors, Tim Walz is a lot gayer than Pete Buttigieg. At any rate, it's so funny. I can't even. These people are so ridiculous. You know, it sucks that we have enemies who are so demented. It is a joy that we have enemies that are so stupid. It is really, really the funniest thing. Pete Buttigieg was asked about this, actually. Yesterday, a Politico reporter ran up on him and said, hey, what do you think about this, that Kamala Harris thought you were too gay to be the running mate? And here is, do you have this, fellas? Did I swear I had this pulled. Do we have this, Justin? Okay, show me that. Show me Pete Buttigieg responding to that news.
I just had the chance to talk to former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and asked him to respond to former Vice President Kamala Harris's latest book excerpt published by The Atlantic, in which she says that his picking him as her vice president would have been far too big a risk, and that America wasn't quite ready for a gay vice president alongside a black woman president. Here's what he told me.
Well, I was surprised when I read that. I just believe in giving Americans more credit than that. My experience in politics has been that the way that you earn trust with voters is based mostly on what they think you're going to do for their lives, not on categories. And I wouldn't have run for president if I didn't believe that.
Now, obviously, like what Pete Buttigieg is doing is being the deceptive little liar that he is. Like he definitely has leaned heavily on I'm a gay dude. You should support me because of that. That's my identity. That's obviously been a huge feature of his political career. But the sentiment that he's dishonestly expressing is correct, which is it's not actually about the color of your skin or your genitals or who you sleep with or anything like that. It's entirely about, like, how are you going to measurably improve my life? What in the world are you going to do to get the government out of my life, to help bring costs down, to defend my country, to secure my borders, to stop the death and the misery that's going on in our communities? What are you going to do? So Buttigieg is definitely mouthing the correct words, which is it's actually about what are you going to do for voters? It's not about identity. And the left is stuck in this moronic cul-de-sac. They still think it really is. And they have utter loathing. Kamala Harris, this is a woman who's never going to learn an actual lesson from her loss. Even the title of her book is an excuse. 107 days. I just didn't have enough time. Stop being such a bitch. How about just confront entirely the failures that led to your catastrophic loss? Just, be honest with yourself. This is some helpful advice from me to you. Just be honest with yourself. You want to improve? Take seriously the fact that you are a part of a losing political agenda. Try and do something that actually helps somebody's life instead of tearing everything down all the time. And stop being such a demented narcissist who thinks that this is all about how people don't like you because of some immutable characteristic. It's completely idiotic. They don't like you because you're unlikable. That's what's actually going on. But anyway, she's on her book tour, and she wants you to know that she skipped over Pete Buttigieg because he was too gay to join the ticket. That was her view. So she went with Tim Walz. It's really wonderful stuff. Lefties continue their insanity. It wouldn't be a day ending in Y if we didn't have lefties being nuts. This is an exchange between Congressman Byron Donalds and Congresswoman, for some reason, Rashida Tlaib yesterday. As Rashida Tlaib, a week after Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, Rashida Tlaib continues to call conservatives fascists. People who respect the Constitution and the rule of law and the various branches of our government. She says you're a fascist for holding that position, and Byron Donalds rightly smacked her down yesterday. Take a look at this.
And here in D.C. and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady
No, I
yield?
don't yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired,
Mr.
but Mr. Chair, but you all live here, and you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our nation's capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think
What a
it's insane
psycho.
that the gentlelady doesn't have an argument, but she's going to refer to me and some of my colleagues.
Mr. Donald,
we were from the Third Reich. This is
You're going to look at 14, 15-year-olds as a bunch of criminals?
It's insane.
Oh,
Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Ms. Talib?
Please,
is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting card.
Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think? I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it goes.
It's okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold myself accountable. Hold your own self accountable. How about that? Hold your own self accountable. How about that?
Free DC and make sure you vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to somebody else.
Talib. All right, time.
Oh, I love Byron Donalds. God bless that man for having to deal with that garbage. And Rashida Tlaib is acting like DC was totally fine. She's like, why are you always talking about all the bad stuff in DC? Because DC's been a hellhole because of what your party's done to it. Thank God for President Trump. Thank God that they've cleaned up the nation's capital. This is exactly what we want these guys doing. And Tlaib says it's fascistic to restore order to the nation's capital, just to give you a sense of her priorities. And I love Byron Donalds going fascistic, like we're the Third Reich. Do I look like a Third Reich guy to you? Come on, look at me. Do I look like a Third Reich guy to you? And you can tell who's winning the argument based on the most emotionally incontinent response to it. She starts going absolutely ballistic. Yeah, okay. Settle down, sweetheart. You lost the argument. That happens. Things like this happen. Let's see. I've got more pearls of wisdom. This one comes to us by way of, you ready? Crazy Jasmine Crockett. Here she goes on the issue of crime. It turns out if you commit a crime, it doesn't mean you're a criminal. Listen.
And I do think that I'm in a unique situation because I was having the conversations with people that were going out and committing crimes. And so I understood what was kind of pushing them there. And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different. Being a criminal is more so about your mindset. Committing a crime can come for a lot of different reasons.
Yes. The hippie guy who's interviewing her is like, yes, that's deep. It's really deep. No, it's not. It's very stupid. It's very stupid. Chat. Give me a definition for a criminal. Anybody? What is a criminal? Somebody, I'm waiting for, let's see if I can get the simple definition here for a criminal from the chat here. Let's see. Here they come. Yes, it's when you commit a crime. One who commits a crime. Yeah. That lady's a member of Congress. And you know where this comes from. See, so first of all, at some point she was a public defender, apparently. I know, this is a fun fact every time I stumble across it, which is, that lady's a lawyer? How did she pass the bar? I'd like more investigation into that exactly. But, you know, this whole thing about like, you know, just because you commit a crime doesn't make you a criminal. Actually, that's the defining feature of being a criminal, is that you've committed a crime. And it doesn't mean you have to be, you know, a criminal for the rest of your life. But in that moment, the thing you did, that was a criminal thing. Yeah, you're a criminal for having done that. And hopefully you learn from your mistakes. No question. I totally believe in redemption. But here's the thing. Where that comes from is a left-wing myth that is basically like, the reason we've got to support crime is because people who commit crimes often do it because they're merely desperate for some sort of wholesome outcome. In other words, like they're poor and they're stealing food in order to feed their families, and we shouldn't be so judgy about people who are under those circumstances. And has that circumstance ever existed? Yes. Is it exist rampantly in the United States? No, it doesn't. In fact, it's a massive myth that the left keeps pushing on everybody. In fact, in the United States, we spend somewhere in the vicinity of $200 billion every year, and that's just taxpayers, on things like food stamps, nutrition assistance. The generosity of the American people towards people who are actually struggling and hungry is immense. And that doesn't include all of the private charities that work constantly in the food banks to try and make sure that people are fed, nourished, all of the efforts to try and make sure people have a roof over their head. The American people are deeply, deeply generous. This idea that people need to be knocking over their 7-Eleven in order to steal bread or go shoplifting just to be able to feed the kids, it's a myth in the United States. In fact, food and shelter are widely available to those who need it. That's just the truth. And in fact, the lion's share of the actual criminality of this nature that's done and there was a great City Journal piece on this in 2023. It's called The Myth of the Starving Shoplifter. And what they talk about in the piece is that most of the shoplifting that actually happens in the United States these days is organized criminal shoplifting. This is just organized retail theft. And what ends up happening is people steal stuff and then they give it to an organization that places it online, or they list it themselves, and they sell it. They sell it. One of the most rampantly stolen and resold goods in America are Tide Pods. Yeah, Tide Pods. People are going online to get a good deal on laundry detergent on Tide Pods, and they're buying it from a black market of stolen goods. People are just stealing stuff. It's the reason why, depending on where you live, increasingly in shoplifting heavy areas, more and more normal stuff is now behind cages. You have to ask a clerk to unlock the cage or retrieve a normal household good, not because of people who have fallen on desperate times, who are stealing the goods in order to take care of their families, but instead because of criminals who are just committing these crimes, and they're allowed to do it by the left, by people like Jasmine Crockett. It's all too crazy, and it has to stop. And so I can't even believe I gave you that assessment of Jasmine Crockett like she's a serious person, but I have to. She's an elected official. And the kind of thinking that she's using, if you can even call it that, animates too much of the destructive left. So it's too crazy. I hear Justin trying to say something to me, which reminds me of something that I wanted to do today. Which thank you, Justin, for trying to get this information out. I want to wish a very happy birthday today to this man. I've got it here. This is Speak McGroin. It is his 50th birthday today, if you can believe it. Look how young that man looks. For those of you on the video chat, rumble.com/Vince, thanks for being here with us. Speak, happy birthday to you, my friend. Thank you for just being a great American, for constantly taking care of things in the chat, always being there to promote the show, and just being a great guy. There he is. I want to say that's I believe that's the Friday before we did the big handoff. So that would have been March 14th of this year. There's Speak standing alongside the legendary Dan Bongino, and Speak's got his "Don't Get Dead" shirt on. Happy 50th birthday, my friend. Again, a great American. And thank you for all your support of the show. The whole Bongino army is just filled with spectacular people, and right there near the top is Speak. Thank you, Speak. Appreciate you, brother. There he is, Speak McGroin, which is a great name. That's his birth name, actually. That's his real name, Speak McGroin. Thank you, guys. Hey, thank you as always. The best audience anywhere. Really appreciate you. We've got a massive 12 to 3 national radio show, 12 to 3 Eastern time coming up today. You can check that out. Go to your local listings, thevinceshow.com. We've got the local listings up there. Find your local radio station. Help us to continue to be the massive success that these shows have been this year. Also, if you'd like to see it, you can watch that at rumble.com/Vince. We've always got the radio show up there, broadcasting it live each and every day. Major will be there. Let's see. I know, everyone keeps asking for Major on the podcast. Major, hey, buddy. Hey, Major is here with me. We've had Major on the radio show so often, but not enough on the podcast. There he is. Now he's resting. He's getting ready for the radio show. Thanks as always for being with us today. Back with you Monday for another big episode of Vince. Coming up next, right here on Rumble, it's who? Mr. Timmy Pool is coming up here on Rumble.